Where are you now? Are you safe? I half shouted, seeking confirmation of Michael's well-being at the scene of the fire. However, on the other end of the phone, he responded with annoyance, saying,
"What's with the sudden call? I'm at the office. You should know better than to call during work."
He delivered this curt message and promptly hung up. It was inconceivable that he could be working normally amidst a raging fire. Realizing that Michael wasn't at his workplace, I became convinced of his betrayal. I decided to carry out the plan I had prepared earlier. I am Olivia Brown, 29 years old. As a nurse working in a hospital, I face numerous patients every day. Throughout my life, I've been called thoughtful and helpful, and even now as an adult, I enjoy assisting others. That's why I consider nursing to be my calling. In my life, I have a beloved husband whom I've been married to for 2 years. We're currently enjoying our married life together in Michael's company housing. 3 years ago, I met Michael through a mutual acquaintance. At a gathering with several friends, Michael, perhaps triggered by shyness, drank alcohol at a rapid pace and quickly became incapacitated. Due to my profession as a nurse or perhaps my inherent nature, I couldn't leave the inebriated Michael alone. Despite it being our first meeting, I took care of him at my own home. The next day, with no recollection of the previous night, Michael solemnly said one thing:
"I'll take responsibility."
I couldn't help but burst into laughter. After explaining the situation to the confused Michael and assuring him that there was nothing to be ashamed of, he apologized sheepishly. From there, our relationship began, and after a year of dating, we got married. Now, as we approach our 3rd year of marriage, we haven't yet had children, but I believe we can build a warm home together with Michael. However, lately, Michael's work has become busier. He's been working extra hours on weekends, and when he comes home from work, he often displays a distant attitude. Even when we sit together on the sofa watching TV, he's glued to his phone screen or lets out heavy sighs. Initially, I wondered if I had done something to upset him. I reflected on my actions, but I couldn't pinpoint anything specific. Gradually, I grew concerned about Michael's well-being. I started researching nutritionally balanced menus and began preparing more substantial lunchboxes and dinners. Then, one day, my workplace, which operates on a rotating schedule of day and night shifts, unexpectedly changed my night shift to a day shift. I had originally informed Michael about the night shift, so I intended to let him know about the shift change. However, due to various distractions, I ended up notifying him on the same day. I sent an email saying, "Today's a day shift, so I'll make dinner for you," but the reply didn't come promptly. Focused on work, I assumed he was busy, and several hours later, I received a brief response: "Understood." In the past, Michael used to reply promptly even during work hours, and he would occasionally use emojis in his messages. However, lately, he responds with just a single sentence. I wonder if his workload has increased or if this is a common occurrence after being married for 2 years. Feeling a bit lonely, I hurriedly bought ingredients from the supermarket after work, determined to prepare another nutritious meal today. The dish turned out well, and I proudly plated it, snapping a photo to post on my cooking account on social media. While I cook for Michael's sake, I've also come to enjoy sharing my culinary creations online. A few minutes after posting the photo, I received a notification. They're commenting again. One of my fellow food enthusiasts from the social media cooking community often leaves comments these days. It's a different kind of connection compared to my colleagues at work, and it brings me joy. As I continued with my activities, Michael returned home from work. I quickly reheated the meal, waiting to have dinner together. Welcome back. Dinner is ready. Was it a busy day? I greeted him. Michael, now changed into comfortable clothes, sat down looking tired. I served the reheated dishes.
Yeah, thanks. Well, it was exhausting. But more importantly, you suddenly switched to a day shift, right?
I nodded. Yes, a colleague had an urgent matter. Sorry for the late notice. We both sat down to eat. Michael continued.
It's fine. Sometimes things change unexpectedly. But in the future, could you let me know earlier? I occasionally have plans to go out with coworkers.
Got it. I replied. As Michael continued speaking, I noticed that he hadn't been eating much since earlier. Is the food not very tasty? I wondered if it didn't agree with his palate. Concerned, I asked, and Michael's fork froze midair. Then, with an awkward expression, he replied.
Oh, no, it's not that. I just don't have much of an appetite. Sorry, I'll eat it for breakfast tomorrow.
He chuckled nervously, thanked me, and promptly left for the bathroom. The half-full plate of food remained on the table. But deep down, I had a growing conviction. I followed Michael to the bathroom. Hey, are you feeling unwell? You've seemed off lately. I'm worried. Maybe you should see a doctor. Michael, rinsing his mouth while brushing his teeth, denied my concern with a smile.
I'm fine. Oh, maybe it's because I've been lacking exercise lately. I'll go for a short walk now.
He adjusted his appearance and headed toward the front door. Although I offered to accompany him, he gently declined. Even as I secretly followed him, prepared to assist if he collapsed, a different unease churned within me. Perhaps, despite my outward resolve, my heart harbored other fears. That anxiety was immediately confirmed as I began tailing him. Contrary to my worries, Michael walked confidently until he stopped in front of a park a short distance from our home. He glanced around, then pulled out his phone, seemingly texting someone. Just then, a white car slid into view. Michael approached the car, engaging in a brief conversation with the person in the driver's seat. The dim light made it hard to discern details. As I edged closer to the car, my eyes locked onto the occupant in the driver's seat. She was a young woman with long, bewitching curls. Instinctively, I grabbed my phone, opened the camera app, and captured the scene. Michael got into the passenger seat, and the woman smiled. By the time I snapped out of my daze, their car had already sped away. Shock, confusion, and suspicion swirled in my mind, leaving me frozen in place. Then, I received a message from Michael. Met an acquaintance unexpectedly, so I'll be home a bit late. An acquaintance? Unexpectedly? The vivid image from moments ago burned into my mind, and I couldn't bring myself to believe Michael's words. That day, Michael finally returned home after 1 a.m. My anxiety had reached its breaking point, and tears welled up as I confronted him with the photo I had taken. Michael froze when he saw the picture, then quickly put on a smile.
Oh, it's just someone from a client company I happened to meet during my walk.
He spoke with certainty, as if rehearsed.
We were just discussing work matters. There's nothing more to it. Please believe me.
His expression resembled that of a victim, shutting down any further inquiry. Afterward, Michael's work became even busier, and I found myself working overtime more often on the days I had day shifts. Despite our strained relationship, I attempted to find time to discuss the incident, but he always deflected, claiming exhaustion. Yesterday, overtime. Today, working on a day off. Is it really just work? Whenever my focus wavered during work, I couldn't shake the image of Michael and that woman being close. As the morning sun pierced my tired eyes after finishing a night shift, I wondered what lay ahead. Recently, consumed by anxiety and worry, I realized I hadn't been taking care of myself. So, I stopped by a cake shop early in the morning and bought a cake. Feeling slightly brighter, I left the shop and took a different route home. This area had many hotels, and I often saw couples walking who seemed to have secrets. Perhaps due to the early hour, the air felt quiet. Carefully holding the cake to prevent it from crumbling, I thought about how I could enjoy it with tea at home. But then, as I walked on the opposite side of the sidewalk, I glimpsed a young couple emerging from a hotel. My gaze shifted there casually, and suddenly, I froze. It was Michael, squinting his tired eyes and smiling, accompanied by the woman with the long, bewitching curls, the same woman from the car that day. The cake slipped from my hand, crashing to the ground. At that moment, my mind fixated on one mission. I need evidence. Trembling, I pulled out my phone, aimed it at their smiling faces, and snapped a photo. The two of them looked like lovers. My heart raced, and a cold sweat broke out. Michael had been lying after all. As I stared at the fallen cake box and the photo of the two of them, a thought formed in the corner of my mind. We can't be together anymore. The series of events transformed my suspicions about Michael into certainty, and the word divorce began to feel real one day. On that particular day, during my day shift, I was diligently working as usual. Just as I was handling a phone call, I heard the distant wail of fire truck sirens, passing through the neighborhood. It wasn't just one fire truck. There were 2 or 3, which made me worry that there might be a fire nearby. After finishing the call, I caught my breath, and 2 colleagues who had been in the patient's room returned, whispering.
It's scary, isn't it?
I asked if something had happened, suspecting trouble. One of my colleagues leaned in and said,
There's a fire at Company A. A patient we passed in the hallway mentioned it.
Company A, a fire. The moment I heard those words, a cold sweat ran down my spine. Excusing myself from my colleagues, I clutched my phone and hurried to a secluded spot. Company A, where the fire had broken out, was the same company where Michael worked. Please, I prayed silently, as I dialed his number. Today, just like every other day, I had seen him off in the morning as he left for work. Since the incident, we rarely crossed paths at home, and our conversations had dwindled. But I never missed our morning farewell. Please, answer. As if my prayers had been answered, I heard Michael's voice on the other end after a few rings.
Yes.
Where are you now? Are you safe? I half shouted, seeking confirmation of Michael's well-being. But he responded with annoyance, as if inconvenienced.
What's with the sudden call? I'm at the office. You should know better than to call during work.
He delivered this curt message and promptly hung up, leaving only the disconnected tone echoing in my ear. Although relieved that he wasn't caught up in the fire, a significant unease settled within me. How could he be working normally amidst such a crisis at his workplace? And his words and attitude, dismissing my concern, fueled my growing anger. Michael was likely not at his workplace now. I had seen him off as usual this morning, but where he was headed probably wasn't the office. Since we got married, I had unknowingly bid farewell to Michael as he went to meet another woman. In the corner of my vision, I caught a glimpse of those bewitching, flowing curls. Determined, I dialed a certain person from my phone. After safely finishing work, I hurried home and began gathering all the furniture and appliances throughout the house. Just then, the intercom buzzed with a ding-dong. When I opened the door, it wasn't Michael standing there but a friend from university. This friend knew about Michael's situation and had volunteered to help with my escape. Despite my last-minute request for assistance with moving, my friend graciously accepted. "Thank you so much. I'll treat you to something next time," I said apologetically. My friend replied with a smile.
"You've been through a lot. I'm always here to help."
It warmed my heart to have such a good friend. Together, we carried out the furniture and appliances, loading the car with clothes I had already sorted weeks ago. The room, once filled with furniture and appliances I had used since my single days, now appeared empty and desolate. As I gazed at the space, I questioned myself once again. Did I have any lingering attachments to this life? No, I didn't. Without looking back, I confidently turned on my heel and headed toward an apartment near my workplace. Actually, after witnessing Michael leaving a hotel with another woman that day, I went straight to a real estate agency. Although I hadn't firmly decided on divorce, I had already rented an apartment just in case. I thought it was a wise decision. Once I moved my belongings into the apartment, I began unpacking. Then, I suddenly remembered something and pulled out my phone. I held it to my ear, waiting for the automated voice guidance to start. A few hours later, after finishing the moving process, I took a break. That's when a call came through an app. The caller ID displayed Michael. I exhaled and answered after a brief pause. Michael's voice sounded frantic on the other end.
"Olivia, where are you now? The house is empty, and my phone isn't working. What's going on?"
I replied matter-of-factly. I took my belongings because most of them were originally mine. And about the phone, it was registered under my name, so I canceled it. His urgency came through the phone, but I remained composed. "Besides, can't you use your phone?" I asked. Michael stammered.
"Well, I can only use an app when connected to Wi-Fi." "But wait, you're not seriously running away, are you? This has to be a joke."
At this point, Michael still seemed unable to fully grasp the situation, and my frustration grew. "Hey, are you seriously saying that? Don't act like you forgot the daytime call. A person at work wouldn't be calmly doing their job in the midst of a fire." I struggled to keep my voice steady, and then I asked the question I had wanted to know all day, or perhaps even longer. Where were you instead of going to the office? Who were you with? Michael hesitated, swallowed audibly, and finally broke the silence. His words confirmed what I had suspected.
About that story of meeting a client's woman during my walk the other day, it was a lie. The truth is, she's a coworker, and today, I was at her place.
The story he recounted was as I had anticipated. He had been involved with Sophia, the receptionist at his company, for about 6 months. They would meet on my night shifts. However, lately, Sophia had become demanding, so he had lied about working overtime or being on a day off just to see her. And today, they had both taken a day off, spending time at Sophia's place. But when the company called Sophia's phone, they learned about the fire. Michael laid it all out, yet even then, he pleaded over the phone.
"Please forgive me."
I thought, don't joke around. Finally, hearing the truth from your own mouth was a relief. Although our marriage was short, I had desperately tried to build a good home. I understood that Michael was trying to stop me with a wait, but I ignored it and stated firmly. I ask you to divorce me due to your infidelity. Let's discuss alimony through our lawyers. Goodbye. Despite Michael's apparent desire to say more, my unwavering stance left him with only a resigned yes in response. Subsequently, the fire at Company A made headlines in the local news, reaching a significant scale. But what caught me off guard was the revelation that the perpetrator was Michael's affair partner, Sophia. Early in the morning, Sophia had sneaked into the company's conference room, unraveled the curtain's edge, and ignited a thread using a lighter. The fire rapidly consumed the entire curtain, leaving the conference room in ashes. Fortunately, the building itself suffered only partial damage. Surveillance footage confirmed Sophia's guilt. As for her motive, she explained,
"The married man I was seeing wouldn't divorce his wife, and even threatening to expose our relationship at work didn't work. I felt this extreme action was necessary."
Honestly, I couldn't understand why she would commit a crime just to win Michael. According to Sophia's colleagues, she often complained about feeling lonely. Did she believe that obtaining a married man, who seemed to have everything, would fill her own loneliness? But as I thought about it, I realized that feeling alone even when together with someone was far more painful. Since the divorce discussion, I hadn't directly contacted Michael, but we proceeded with the legal process through our lawyers. Amidst all this, I heard about Michael's situation at work. After the fire incident, Michael, who genuinely knew nothing, was shocked when the company's HR informed him of the truth. Sophia was promptly arrested, and news of their affair spread rapidly within the company. Colleagues likened the incident to the one that occurred in a New York City Bronx nightclub in 1990, where a man intentionally set a fire because he wanted to meet his ex-lover. They referred to it as the Happy Land arson incident. Hearing this, I felt a twinge of sympathy, but ultimately, Michael's choice to be with another woman was his own doing. With that mindset, I calmly proceeded with the divorce, which went smoothly thanks to the incriminating photo I had taken with my phone. Additionally, Michael paid the alimony from his severance package. Having completely severed ties with Michael, I've been thoroughly enjoying my new apartment, which has become my cozy haven. Perhaps there were moments when I neglected myself, prioritizing caring for others. While continuing my nursing job, I've now carved out time for myself, especially relishing the joy of cooking, which had been my favorite pastime during my marriage. In the morning, I opened the window of my apartment, letting in the fresh air. As I glanced outside, I saw a family of 3 walking together, seemingly close. Strangely, I felt no regret at this moment. Instead, excitement about what lay ahead filled me. Just then, my phone buzzed, and when I checked the screen, I couldn't help but smile. The person I had connected with through my cooking account on social media had become a close friend since that incident. Today, we had plans to cook together. I replied to the message, "I'll be waiting," and immediately started preparing for our cooking session.
How did you find this story? If you enjoyed it, consider subscribing to my channel. Until next time.